Hello everybody, my name is Kanoe Mainika, and welcome back to the unboxing, where today we are continuing our look at the S.H.Figuarts One Piece line with the last of the East Blue Straw Hats. That is right. Finally, I have the fifth one. I apologize if these are later than you would want them to be. I buy the US releases generally, and also I've had to contend with other things shipping that I have had to, I guess, order in terms of when I have gotten them, so that things don't necessarily just like fall by the wayside in terms of release schedules. But now we are finally at the fifth and final East Blue Straw Hat pre-time skip, and probably one of the more boring ones from what I can tell, where two of them are completely new characters, and one of them is an old character with a completely new sculpt. This one is one of the two that seems to share a lot of ideas and engineering with his previous rendition. That's right, we are taking a look at the S.H.Figuarts Romance Dawn One Piece Sanji. It's Sanji again, this time in his East Blue rendition, and he looks pretty good. He looks accurate, if anything. I don't know. We'll have to see how he feels, but the box is a standard S.H.Figuarts One Piece box. You have the One Piece logo here in the corner on top of a general map-looking background. Then you have your window, which allows you a look at the figure and a bunch of his accessories, primarily faces. On the window, it is printed his name, Sanji Romance Dawn, and then down here it says S.H.Figuarts Sanji Romance Dawn. And then production information, the Toei sticker, the Tamashii sticker, Tamashii and Bandai. Then we have a promotional image of him holding a plate of food, soup I think it is, and then him doing an action pose. On the top, you have the usual straw hat cutout. You can see it's a fairly thin box, which I guess is fair enough, with the S.H.Figuarts quote and more of that map detailing. At the bottom, you have a simple blue backdrop with an image of Sanji doing the thing with his hands, S.H.Figuarts Sanji Romance Dawn. On this side, you have an image with a bunch of his faces, as well as the spare Luffy face that comes in the set, Sanji Romance Dawn, S.H.Figuarts. On this side, you get an image of him kicking upward, Sanji Romance Dawn, the Doom behind him, One Piece, S.H.Figuarts. And on the back, you get the warning sticker, legalese. This video is for ages 13 and up, because this toy is for ages 15 and up. Simple style and heroic action, a bunch of different poses for his super action, his face for the super modeling, and then a image of him with a bunch of text in both Japanese and English. But yeah, that is the box, but that means it's time to get it unboxed. So let's do that. Open it up from the side. Seems like, yep, the instructions are in the flaps. So you open up the flaps and you see the instructions for the figure. And then we open it up so that we can see everything that the set comes with, which is a pretty decent amount of stuff. Not as much as Usopp, who came in at about the same price, which is a little unfortunate, but if it helps, this isn't the usual $90 price that a lot of S.H.Figuarts tend to go to when they are a standard release. This one's about $70 in the US. Let's take a look at all of his accessories. So first off, we have two identical plates. So since he's the chef, it's pretty cool that we do get some food included within the set. So as you can see, it's a simple plate with some nice rounded detail. At the top, we have that little bit of yellow, which is a sort of, I guess, soup. It could be rice, maybe, but it doesn't have a rice texturing, so I'm going to say it's soup. And you get two of those from the hold in his flattened hands, which we'll get to. Yes, you get two of those. Alongside that, for hands, we get, first off, these ones, which are a little bit unique because they are meant for his pockets. They are mostly this black plastic with some bits of skin-colored plastic glued in there, which is a little bit of a hand that you can plug in there. And the way these work is, when we get to the figure itself, you can remove the little front parts of the pant there and replace them with these so that he can have his hands in his pockets. A bit of a roundabout process, but it works. Next up for hands, we have a singular hand, which allows him to hold his cigarette. This is the only hand you get like this, so you can't have him swap in and out the cigarette. You don't just get a cigarette, which I guess is a little bit more user-friendly. There's a little bit of awkward molding around where the cigarette is that's a little bit skin-colored, but you probably won't see it from a distance. And otherwise, the cigarette is painted quite well. And the shaping of the hand does look nice, too. The two fingers holding it closer, and then the two that are a little bit further out. There's a bit of lining, though, mold lining or a seam line from where this finger is, which is a little bit weird if it'll focus. There we are. Yeah, it's a little bit of weird seam lining there and a little bit of a gouge as well, which is a little bit frustrating, but otherwise it's a fairly well sculpted hand, which has all the lines you would want. And you only get one of those. Out of the box, he comes with fists, but in terms of pairs, he comes with 2 pairs. He has these, which are some flat-out hands, which I imagine could be good for chopping. Well, he doesn't really chop. He doesn't use his hands for fighting, but could be used for holding those plates. Could be used just to hold himself up, maybe, for when he's doing, like, roundhouse kicks. But yeah, it's very well sculpted. It's got some nice palm lines, some nice hand lines. The fingernails are nicely sculpted, and they're nice and soft and clean looking, which is good for Sanji. He's meant to have some fairly clean hands because he kicks all the time. And finally, he has these sort of widespread open hands rather than just those chops. So yes, the widespread open hand. Again, similar sculpting. They look good. No real seam lines on them. Nothing really painted, which I guess is fair, but nothing too bad in terms of scuffage either. So it works. There's a little bit of a seam line there, but yeah, it works. And you get 2 of those. Next up, let's look at faces. First off, we get one Luffy face. Luffy face. I believe this specifically references a specific point in Baradier, probably. I'd have to check back. I haven't read the Baradier in a hot second. But it just fits for him being hungry and wanting a meal from Sanji. And it's just nice to have another expression as silly as it is. And then as far as Sanji goes, he gets 4 expressions outside of the smirk with a cigarette that you get out of the box. So first off, we have this comical sharp-toothed expression, which I think is there with all of these Romance Dawn Straw Hats. It's very well done. The sculpting on the teeth on the mouth area in general, is very good, very exaggerated, very cartoony, but works in a realistic setting. It's always been impressive how they've been able to do that with these One Piece figures, and I still appreciate it here. And the expression is also really good, really well sculpted and drawn. It's just really smart, and I like that he has his 2 squiggly eyebrows. It's fun. And then he has, of course, since he's Sanji, I guess, like, Nami Schwan face. It's got the cigarette in it, and it's a little bit bent too, which is very fun. Yes, the upward curved eyes with the eyebrows, and then the mouth is also really well sculpted and painted, nothing really sloppy there. This is a necessary Sanji face, I think, for him to go Nami Schwan or Robin Schwan or whatever. And he's got a little bit of facial hair too there. From what I've seen, I'm not going to test it here, so take it with a grain of salt, but I think the faceplates on the Reido no Nekashima Sanji do physically fit on this figure. I'm pretty sure they use basically the same head sculpt. Like, the hair is different, obviously, but in general, I think they do work. Don't quote me on this, so let me know in the comments if that's correct. But I'm pretty sure it's basically the same sculpt, and it should work with swappable faces in terms of the sculpt. It will not work in terms of timelines because he doesn't have the proper facial hair. But if you do so need a Sanji face, an extra Sanji face, and you have that Reido no Nagashima version, it might work. Next up are some more neutral faces. First off, we have another cigarette-less face, which is looking to the side. I kind of wish we had more neutral cigarette-less faces. Because again, he's got that facial hair. His ears are sculpted nicely. The eyebrows are also sculpted nicely. This feels very similar to the main one that he has, though that one has a cigarette and this one doesn't. Again, I kind of wish he had more cigarette-less faces, but it works fine. And then finally, another cigarette-filled face is a action face, I think. Yes, a stern action face. Again, with the cigarette poking upward, which is nice. I like it. Again, the facial hair is painted. The expression is really good, and it just looks like Sanji. Again, they've been very good in the S.H.Figuarts One Piece line about getting likenesses correct, and it's just very impressive how they're able to capture Oda's art style. But yeah, that is the accessories. So now, let's take a look at the figure itself. Shall we? Let's get this little bit of plastic off the top of him, and just pull out Sanji. Here he is, and overall, fairly simple looking, all things considered at first blush. He's wearing his simple black suit getup with the pinstriped blue shirt underneath, which again, very simple to do, but it looks good. It looks good, all things considered. But yeah, that's the full turnaround. Let's get a closer look at him. Now starting off with the face, if it'll focus. There we are. Again, this smirk is very good. I kind of wish the eyebrow was a little bit more visible behind the hair, but it does work, and this just does feel like Sanji with the hair going over this eye rather than this eye at this point. and the expression is very perfect. The hair is generally well done, with the nice yellow that bleeds down into this almost orangey color at the tips, which I do think works well. There are some seam lines that are catching dirt a little bit easily, but they aren't super noticeable. The torso, again, very simple. Very similar to the previous one, a little bit less buff, a little bit more thin, but nice. But yes, the shoulders do have some noticeable sculpting weirdness thanks to the engineering, but it doesn't detract too much because it does kind of follow the cuts very nicely. But the lining on the inner shirt is very impressive. It's very cleanly done. It doesn't look messy at all, and it just works well. And then the tie on top of it just rounds it all nicely. The buttons are also nicely painted in gold. There's not too much bleed or any real noticeable bleed, but it is nice that it's there. And we get a little bit more of that pinstriping around the wrists here too. Sorry to jump ahead to this. The arms are again fairly simple with some nice cloth sculpting. Also to note, this is a rubberier piece to help get out of the way. So and the separate torso is too. So the texturing is a little bit different than the rest of the body, but it'll get out of the way. The arms are fairly simple. We got the two little buttons painted there. Again, very nice and cleanly painted. And the pinstripes, which I think are panel lined essentially, like they're sculpted in. They have a bit of ridging, but it works well. And then the fists. They're fists. They have a little bit of like veining texture, which is nice, but yeah. Pant legs are pant legs. Let's see if there is a painted belt, which you're barely gonna see, and also a little bit of the blue shirt. Sorry, you can see a little bit of the blue shirt in there, but yes, the belt is sculpted and painted, which is a level of detail that you didn't need to go through, but is nice to see. Sorry to look up his ass, but you can see it there. Pants are plain for the most part. Again, very nicely tailored sculpting, which looks very good. And the feet are in a shinier plastic because they're meant to be nice shiny boots. It's Sanji. I don't know what to say. He's one of the plainer designs of the Straw Hats. He has his proportions feel right, to be fair. This Sanji does feel more impressive on a macro scale because he just looks proper and like Sanji. I feel like it could be hard to say from other figures, but he looks right. And yeah. But to move on, it's time to look at his articulation, and hopefully it's pretty good because he's one of the two wings who are like our main fighters. So, neck is on a ball joint up the top and at the bottom, some nice barbell action, which allows him to look up. Okay, the hair does get in the way, allows him to look down. Pretty alright. If it'll focus, come on, don't focus on my hand, focus on Sanji, there we go. But it does allow for some fairly nice tilt. A lot of what's getting in the way is the collar. The collar is getting in the way, and here's some of that back sculpting. Again, nice tailoring, nice clothes. But yeah, he can get a decent rotation out of it, but it's not going to be as crazy as you might want. Yeah, you can see there's a little bit down there, but yeah, there we go. Okay. Shoulders, they're really weirdly engineered. They're similar to the previous, where the hinge upward is around where the butterfly is. So let's first check the butterfly, which the rubber does get in the way, but it does work. And to be careful, you might get these shoulders essentially unhooked. So just work with the rubber. His shoulders are able to go up about 90 degrees by working the two joints, and it looks a little weird, but I think it works. It gets the sort of bagginess under the suit properly, even if the arm doesn't go up as far as you would want, and then you can use the ball joint at the bicep swivel a little bit extra. But yeah, it gets there, and you get a full swivel about there. You just got to be careful with working it. These shoulders are fine. They're weird, but they work fine, especially for a suited character. I think they're able to get the shaping of a suit to work, which I think was the general point. There we go. But you just got to be careful because it does come out of the rubber, so you just got to kind of be ready to push it back in the rubber if you need to. As mentioned, there is a bicep swivel, which is a ball joint, so it has a little bit of give in other directions, so you may need it. Single jointed elbow, which goes a little past 90. Wrists are on a swivel hinge swivel, though it is limited by the cuffed shape of the torso. Anyways, the rubber allows... There's a ball joint at the top and at the bottom, and the rubber don't do this a lot, but it does allow for it to get decently forward, decently back, and pretty good side to side, a good bit more than you might expect. And the lower part has even more articulation, so it can go forward, back, and side to side, and also that's where the swivel is, so you can go total forward that far, total back, basically all the way, and total side to side a lot. So he's got a lot of articulation in there if you don't pop off the torso joint. Be careful of that. The rubber might push it off, but it's easy enough to put back in. So yeah, also this nicely gets out of the way. Speaking of getting out of the way, Our hips are on standard ball joints, I think, or hinge joints or whatever. Able to kick forward, standard, as you would want. Backward a little bit further than you might expect, though not entirely. Also, there is pocket sculpting. And then outward, about that far, maybe a little bit higher would have been nicer, but not by much. There's a thigh swivel, a single jointed knee, which is able to go a good bit more than 90 degrees. That's basically all I think you would need, and the single joint doesn't look the worst. I know people are going to be annoyed about it, but it doesn't look bad at all. Ball joint at the upper foot, which allows it to swivel and go a little bit forward and backward. There's a hinge, which allows it to go down that far and up that far or that far. Not a ton forward, but yeah. There's also a tilt, which allows it to go inward. Basically all you need. That's good. And then a toe bend. So yeah, he doesn't have the most articulation. Usopp, I think, is a little bit better than him, but he is able to pose well, especially in those legs, because he needs to be able to do those kicks. He's a pretty good Sanji. He's, of course, in that iconic Sanji look, the black suit with the blue undershirt, or I guess just shirt. But yeah, he's a little hard to stand because he's thin, and yeah, and some of his joints are a little bit loose for my tastes. And of course, he's a fairly basic figure with a basic set of accessories, but he isn't the worst figure in this line by a wide margin. This line has had some issues in general, but the Romance Dawn line has been pretty solid. And while this isn't the best of the line by any means, honestly, he's probably the worst. That doesn't mean he's bad at all. He's good. I like him. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, because that's really all there is to say. This is pretty good. I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to get him, unless you're like a Sanji fan or you want all 5. If you want just one, get like Luffy or Usopp or Zoro. Like, I guess it would go Luffy for being the cheapest, but Usopp's the best. Swap those 2 for the top 2. Then Zoro and Nami are pretty equal, and then Sanji below them. But yeah, it's a good line. You should pick up these pre-time skip straw hats if you want straw hats in your collection. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do like the video so that I know that I should make more content like this. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts about whatever may pertain to the video. Go check out previous videos on the channel. There's a bunch that are there, a bunch on One Piece already. So do go check those out, and be sure to subscribe for future videos. I've got tons of S.H.Figuarts One Piece videos in the works for whenever those figures show up, and you don't want to miss them. So yeah, and anyways, until next time, I hope to see you around. Bye-bye!